but my execution remained sharp. I knew the next time that I got to Sister Location, I was not going to make the same mistake again.
Before you is an animatronic found in the back alley. We are unsure of its origins.
Finally, I had remembered to record, and Night 4 had been conquered. This was one of the most stressful nights I've ever had to attempt in a challenge. So, to take a rest, I decided to go watch the new FNAF 2 movie, as I had beaten it on its release day. And it was... odd.
We had the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Hold on, say something to my wonderful audience.
Hello, I hope you will enjoy Five Nights.
Then I go to the front and say that I'm the Bones 5, and everyone claps. I'm not even letting no one responds, I totally would.
Now we only have one night left to see if it's truly possible to beat every FNAF game simultaneously. It's time for Night 5. Going into Night 5, I was pretty optimistic. At least, I knew it wasn't going to have any other crazy left-handed mouse aiming for this night, as we start back in the elevator in Sister Location. But there are some other concerns. The first of which has to do with FNAF 4. On Night 5, all the Nightmare animatronics despawn and are replaced with Fredbear. No, not that Fredbear. Thank God that Trent died, dude. Who in a way can act like all of them. He can move into the hallways like Barney and Chica, runs between them like Foxy, but can also teleport into the bed and closet like Freddy and Foxy. I wasn't sure how dealing with him was going to be until I started playing, but I knew off the bat that our new idol strat in FNAF 4 was not going to work with Fredbear. Fredbear requires you to constantly keep track of his position with sound cues, and once he moves into a hallway, you'll have to clear him within 15 seconds or else he'll jump scare you. If he moves into the bed or closet, this will instead be 20 seconds. Regardless, we're going to be moving a lot more in FNAF 4. Ultimate Custom Night is also getting to be a bit more challenging. We're now forced to do 40-20 mode, and we've pretty much exhausted every character that wasn't a problem before. Out of everyone here, I chose to add the toy animatronics, Freddy, Rockstar Freddy, Nedbear, and Orville. This means that now, every time that we leave the UCN window, we'll have to always have the mask on in case either Toy Bonnie or Toy Chica spawns. And every time that we reset the ventilation, we'll have to close the left door along with the vent, and check if Rockstar Freddy wants us to pay him. If he does, either pay him or use the heater for 1 second to glitch him out. It doesn't sound like much, but in combination with Fredbear, these extra few seconds in UCN could add up. It's also now possible for us to die when pulling up the cameras if we aren't fast enough, which adds some additional RNG. Orville death. Orville death.
It's eating him! Oh my god!
Everywhere else, things aren't looking any better. We're now up to all 4 animatronics in FNAF 6. And though my strategy was still very good for stalling out, I would get the occasional death over there. The music box in FNAF 2 is now 5 seconds faster, and the toy animatronics are much more frequent, especially Toy Freddy. I talked before about how characters that can force our cameras down with blackouts would not be good for this challenge, and though the double cam glitch was able to handle most of them, we really can't stop Toy Freddy here. So if he happens to catch us off guard, we could lose a run. Springtrap isn't that much harder than his Night 4 counterpart, but the circumstances of Night 5 make the night as a whole much worse. Natural errors occur much more frequently on Night 5, and most importantly, you only have 2 audio blurs per reboot. This makes it pretty difficult to keep Springtrap locked in camera 6, so we're going to have to rely a bit more on tracking and luck, and just hope that Springtrap is reasonably nice to us. The only game that got a bit more manageable is FNAF 1, with Foxy now consistently rushing our door around 40 seconds into the night. Foxy waits in the hallway for a full 25 seconds before rushing our door, so if we're dying at 40 seconds, I think it's pretty safe to assume that around 30 to 40 seconds, on most runs, Foxy should be in the hallway and we can glitch him out. As you can probably tell from the changes that I listed, this gameplay is already pretty tight, and we're going to have to find a completely new strategy to somehow get the same amount of time that we've had in previous nights of FNAF 4 with Fredbear. So here's what I came up with. Fredbear has a chance to move every 3 seconds, and on Night 5 has an AI value of 12, making his movement chance a little over half. Like Foxy, Fredbear's movements from corner to corner make directional sound cues, but unlike Foxy, him moving into the hallway does not. So the only ways that we can tell if Fredbear is in a hallway is either using a flashlight to check, or hearing him get cleared on a 3-second interval. We know that once Fredbear is in a hallway, he's going to patiently wait for 15 seconds to jump scare us, so we can use this to our advantage. Track Fredbear from hallway to hallway. Once you think he's in a hallway, flash the flashlight to confirm he's there. Now, instead of immediately clearing him, wait. Do a bit of mental math in your head to see what the furthest possible 3-second interval is that doesn't exceed Fredbear's kill timer. Then use this time where Fredbear is essentially frozen in place to take care of whatever else needs to be done. Try and cut it as close as possible so that a 3-second interval hits the moment the door is shut. That way, you spend as little time as possible locked into FNAF 4 holding down a key. There are a few things that can throw a wrench in this strategy, like Fredbear moving into a false corner, then repeatedly failing movements over and over again. Since his movement in the hallway is silent, it's really hard to know what he's doing here. If Fredbear is really camping you, make sure you run to the bed and back to the same door again, as there's a 25-second idle timer that will cause Fredbear to jump scare you if you don't move at all. The only other situation that we have to deal with is laughs and teleports, which can be very good for us or very bad for us. To start, let's go over how laughs work. For both the bed and the closet, there are 2 30-second timers that randomly get incremented by 1 every second. Once one of these timers reaches 30, Fredbear has a 1 in 2 chance to laugh and teleport to that location. However, not every laugh is guaranteed to mean that Fredbear teleported. On 10-second intervals, Fredbear has a 1 in 10 chance to do a fake laugh, where he just laughs randomly but doesn't move to the bed or the closet. What's worse, this fake laugh timer pauses if Fredbear teleports to the bed, and unless you're staring at FNAF 4's timer specifically non-stop while dealing with 6 other games, you're not going to catch the exact second that Fredbear laughed. Personally, I just assumed that a laugh was real, but if I heard footsteps shortly following it, I knew it was fake instead. In the case that a laugh was real, check the bed first. If Fredbear is there, great. You now have 20 full seconds to do whatever you need to do with every other game. Then you can flash again and get rid of him. If Fredbear isn't on the bed, book it for the closet as fast as possible. You can maybe stall for 1 or 2 3-second intervals here, but only do so if you really need to, as you're already going to be pushing it with how long the running animations are in this game. With how much focus you have to put on Fredbear, this night felt like it was even more brain-focused than Night 4. A lot of times, I found myself just going to the wrong door for Fredbear or misremembering what side he was at last, then losing track of him. I wasn't really making any progress, so I decided to just try and beat Night 5 on FNAF 2, 3, and 4, as those were the games that were going to be making up 75% of the gameplay anyway. With a little more optimizations in FNAF 2 and 4, I was able to beat these 3 at once, so I went back to official attempts. And this practice had worked. I was starting to get some pretty significant runs. Even though this challenge has been super rage-inducing with all the luck and memory involved, man, it is satisfying to pull off. You feel like the keyboard guy from that one regular show episode. Like, look at this clip.
No, he heating up. He heating up. No, he
I was getting to the point where I felt like I had enough skill to finally pull this off. So now it was just a matter of luck. I really needed this. I'd done some decent runs, but I was pretty much at the end of the line here. It was Sunday night, and the way that my finals week was laid out, I had no tests on Monday, then tests distributed throughout the rest of the week. I was stalling the studying for final exam kill timer as hard as I could, and I really needed Monday to prepare. So I grinded as hard as I could today, and eventually I was getting somewhere.
Please don't be fake.